गुड मॉर्निंग जेंटलमैन। मैं हूं आपका दोस्त मदन सिंह एंड आई एम गोइंग टू टॉक टू यू अबाउट द ईरान वॉर। मैं कुछ टूर पे था। आई वाज एंजॉयिंग माई सेल्फ, तो आई हैव नॉट मेड वीडियो फॉर सम टाइम, बट नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू मेक दिस वीडियो ऑन ईरान वॉर। अभी ये ईरान वॉर जो है इज इन ए वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टेज, बिकॉज मिलिटरीली ईरान जो है डिफीटेड है, पर जो क्लर्जी regime है, दैट इज द इस्लामिक regime which is in power, वो किसी तरीके से they want to hold on to the power, and as per Donald Trump they have executed thousands of protesters and they still want to remain in power. So उनकी एक ही गेम है कि अपने ही सिटीजन्स को मारते रहो और पावर में रहो, and they are just fighting desperately without knowing really what's happening. Now we are in a very sad situation at the moment as far as Iran is concerned, and we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen further, because it all depends on what Donald Trump thinks and does. He's a maverick, and I don't think he's very clear about his ideas also. Because if he had been hell bent on destroying Iran, he could have done it a long time back. But उन्होंने ये नहीं किया. That's the fact part of it. And the blockade which he has carried out for the last 10 days should have been done from the very first day. Why didn't do it? Secondly, he sent 158 ships of the Iranian Navy into the bottom of the ocean. That's good. But he forgot about the speedboats which the Iranians had, and they are playing hell into the system. Third thing, I think his think tank should have told him that the Hormuz Strait is a strategic outlet in the region, and it must be controlled by the Americans, which somehow it didn't strike Donald Trump. And the batteries and the coastal launching pads which were there on the Iranian side in the Strait of Hormuz should have been wiped out long time back in the first 5 days of battle, but he didn't do it. The Israelis fought well to a plan, and their plan was to decimate the leadership, and they thought once you decimate the leadership, Iran will collapse. But the Iranians have been planning for this battle for the last 40 days, 40 years, and a thing which should have been done by the Americans 40 years back, they're doing it now. And the Iranians are ready. Even if the top leadership is wiped out, the second and third rank take over. So it's not going to be that simple. So Iran is defeated, yes, but they haven't given up. You know, they're like Horatio fighting on the burning bridge. They don't want to give up, and that is the crux of the issue. The second issue, which is really giving nightmares to the Americans, is the nuclear fissile material, which Iran is not ready to hand over. And now almost 60 days have elapsed, and Iran has not made any indication they're going to hand over that nuclear material to anybody. And the Americans are sitting and waiting that they're going to hand over. They suspended the bombing. They thought they'll have talks. I think it is very fallacious thinking by the American leadership that Iran will have talks and give up the nuclear fissile material. After all, उन्होंने अपना पसीना लगा दिया है making reaching this stage, and they're not going to give it away. So the talks which were going on through Pakistan, which is supposed to be the intermediary, was again a big flaw. Pakistan, we know, is a terrorist state, and I couldn't understand how Donald Trump could think of negotiating through Pakistan of all countries. Pakistan playing a double game. God knows what they were telling the Iranians and what they were telling the Americans. The net result of all that is that the talks have gone nowhere, and they will go nowhere so long as America keeps on relying on Pakistan. Pakistan, they must remember, played a double game during the Afghan war also. They were running with the hare and hunting with the hound. Can anybody deny that? That's precisely what was happening. And so what happened precisely was that even Donald Trump condemned the Pakistanis at that time, but Pakistanis are, die-hard coyotes, the animal which runs under the trees, and so they have survived. Gentlemen, it's one of those very typical situations which is coming up. You are trusting a country to negotiate with a terrorist country when that country itself is fomenter of terrorism, the epicenter of terrorism in the world. I wonder how the Americans really forget, that Osama bin Laden was given refuge by Pakistan, and he was kept close to the military academy at Abbottabad till the Americans got wind of him and eliminated him. So, gentlemen, I think you must understand that the whole situation is very, very grim as far as America is concerned. Donald Trump committed a big blunder by negotiating with Iran through Pakistan. Secondly, he committed a big blunder by underestimating Iran. Now, you've got to be very, very firm. I think when I was doing the staff college, we used to make sand models of the exercises which we were to do and decide all the courses of action and then pick up the best course of action. I wonder if the American General Staff really worked out all these options, because otherwise, now with 60 days on and Donald Trump getting very desperate, I think what the main problem is, he doesn't want to fight and he wants to get a victory without fighting. Now, that is a very sad occurrence. You can't win without fighting. And he doesn't want to use the infantry, and maybe he might use it at some stage, but till date he hasn't used it. And the result is the war continues and the Iranian regime remains in power. So, the basic function of the principles of war, that is the regime change and the political victory, has not happened. I don't know what Donald Trump is fighting for. What the hell is he going around and having a talk here and there with the Iranians through the Pakistanis of all people? And the talks were bound to collapse. I think they have collapsed. Now, the question is what is going to happen next? America has to show mettle. Mettle means the will to fight. I think the way it looks to me, America is looking for a face saving way to get out of the Iran war. And they would be very happy to get some semblance of an assurance from Iran. Look, we won't make any more nuclear bomb or something like that. And they will say, we have won victory. Donald Trump will say, I won the victory. But that would be a very fallacious victory, a hollow victory. And the net result is 5 years, 10 years on the line, it will lead to the destruction of American civilization. I'm very clear about it. It will lead to the destruction of American civilization. At that time, the people will say Donald Trump failed because he couldn't estimate what's happening in Iran. Now, there can be a course correction even now, and I hope Donald Trump can do that course correction and realize that once you have entered the Chakravyuh, the kaleidoscope, you have entered it, you can't leave without fighting. And he wants to get away. So we must understand this particular thing, or rather, Donald Trump must understand. And keeping troops about almost say 25 or 30,000 in Germany and another 12,000 in Italy and all that got irrelevant. What the hell are the troops doing there? He must pull out all those 40,000 troops from there and utilize them somewhere else. And in any case, the NATO powers have shown him the thumbs down. They're not interested in him. And what the hell are the Americans doing there? It just beats my imagination. America just wants to show that it's a Dada when it's not, nobody wants to recognize it. I think he should have taken a lesson from the Russians, where they couldn't beat Ukraine and they're now running around helter skelter, not knowing what the hell is going on. So they lost 100,000 of their young men. I mean, it's a very, very tragic thing. I think Putin's a war criminal, definitely. 100,000 young men of the flower of the Russian youth have been killed in Ukraine. What for? I think Donald Trump should have learned a lesson that what you do decisively. Strike a decisive blow. And I think now the Americans have got to decide what they have to do. They want to have peace and go away from the battlefield or look for some straws through terrorist countries like Pakistan. Well, that's up to them to decide. As a military analyst, I will say America has followed the wrong path on this battle. They were not clear what they wanted. If you wanted a regime change, do a regime change. Forget about it. Occupy Tehran. Catch all these mullahs and put them on the hanger. Hang them on the first bloody tree available. It didn't happen that way. And it's a very, very sad occurrence that the Americans never realized what they wanted. I still do not know what is their aim. They don't want Iran to have a nuclear bomb. Yes, but why did they allow Pakistan to have a nuclear bomb? I fail to understand that. Do you think Pakistan is a bum chum or something? Pakistan is an Islamic state, and terrorist organization anyway can get hold of those nuclear bombs and use them in America itself. Why did they allow Pakistan to have? And that time, Bill Clinton was the president. I think he was just sitting on his haunches and making up speeches here and there. I mean, it's a very sad occurrence. And going back, even in '63, they allowed China to go nuclear. I mean, I couldn't understand what was behind the game to let China go nuclear of all places. And now they're facing a Chinese menace, a danger. Well, gentlemen, the Iran war is at a very interesting stage. If Donald Trump wishes, he can close the issue, but it means he has to fight, and the infantry soldier has to fight. Goodbye, gentlemen. I think I'll close now. I hope you like my video. Please share with your friends. There has to be a course correction from Donald Trump. I wonder if he's going to be able to do it. In the meanwhile, I'll say goodbye, God bless, and take care.